Hello vintage cycling fans, and welcome back to Bus Vintage Bikes and to part 3 of the restoration video of the Colnago Super. So Campagnolo saw fit not to brand all of its components, especially on the vintage stuff, and it's left newbies like myself to Campagnolo with somewhat of a dilemma in that it's hard to identify parts. So I find I'm forever asking people for advice, which is really nothing wrong with it, because you can learn a lot, but sometimes you get so many different opinions, it leaves you confused. So I posed the question to our vintage WhatsApp group, and the unanimous decision from the group was that it's a Gran Sport front derailleur, identified mostly by this raised lip that you see over here. Although I have found photos on the web showing a nouveau record with that lip on it as well. So is the shape of that lip different? I'm not too sure. It could be, of course, that the photos were labeled incorrectly on the web as well. There's that possibility. So if you believe that this is not a Gran Sport for some particular reason, I'd love to hear about it. Drop your comments in the comment section there, please. All it's got stamped on it is Brev Campagnolo on the back here, and condition wise not too bad. I think we'll be able to clean it up quite nicely. Some rust on the spring at the back here, a little bit of rust on the nut and bolt on the end. These adjustment screws are definitely looking worse for the wear. Sorry, let me just turn this around and give you a better look over there. You can see there's a lot of rust on them, so they all get dropped into evapor rust. Just do that little circlip. The rest of it I think is going to clean up very well, except this nut and bolt clamp. For the clamp, that's not looking good. You can see that the chrome is lifting on it, so I might have to strip that chrome off and just give that a polish, unfortunately. Anyway, we'll have a look at that when we get to it. So enjoy the video, hang around with me as I take you through some more of these parts restorations. Hold your finger over it so that you don't have things shooting all over your garage when the spring releases its tension, like it did there. And slide the spring off. And slide that little bracket off. And now I'll take the circlip off over there and we'll remove that part, and it'll allow us to get in there and do a polish of it. Right, so that wasn't too complicated. Let's hope putting it back together is as easy. This section you can't get apart because that's a pin that's through there, so that's as far as that strip down will go. This is stripped down entirely. Be able to clean that up nicely, and that's just all the little nuts and bolts and brackets that make up the derailleur. Let's get cleaning. that for probably 24 hours, and then we'll take them out and clean them up. Right, so I've just cleaned up these parts using some paraffin, and while the rest are soaking in vapor rust, I'm just going to run a little bit of aluminium foil over this front of the front derailleur to get rid of these rust spots that we saw. Excuse the crickets chirping in the background there. I'm not sure if you can hear them on the video. It's quite late at night here in South Africa at the moment, and we're nearing the end of our summer season. The crickets are going crazy every evening. A few of them decided to make a home in my garage. Just a quick rub, and already looking a whole lot better. Gets rid of all those little spotted areas. So I'm going to run this section of the derailleur through the polishing wheel now. You can see there's some discoloration on it, even after I've cleaned it off with the paraffin. So a bit of autosol and the polishing wheel, and I'm going to be super careful over here because there's sharp edges on this derailleur, and if you spin this wheel too fast and one catches, it will end up on a different planet somewhere. So care to be taken. Not sure why this is a wheel that I put on recently, but it's terribly unbalanced as compared to the wheel that was on there previously. So this is cleaned up quite nicely. I'm just going to give it a final polish with a rag to get rid of the residue, and I'll show you what it looks like. So there we go. That'll give you a better idea of how it polishes up. And as I mentioned, it got pulled out of my hand on one occasion off of camera. Fortunately just dropped to the ground, didn't get flung too far, but that result's quite good. I'm happy with that. So now I'll just carry on doing that with this piece as well, the clamp, and we'll see what kind of result we can get out of that. Over here I might need to use the Dremel to get into these tight places. Come back to you once that's done. So you can recall I mentioned this little bolt was quite badly damaged, the head of it, with the chrome. So I try to polish it now, but it doesn't look much better. So I'm going to strip this chrome off. I'm going to try and strip it off, and then I'm going to polish it up and see if we can get it looking a lot better than that. So I'm going to start off with coarse sandpaper just to get the chrome off. Sorted that out rather quickly. Now I'm just going to take finer water paper and I'm going to run it as smooth as possible and then polish it. So I've gone through a few grades of different sandpaper. I still see some marks on it though, so I'm going to go a little bit coarser again and then go through the grades again. This is the 360 paper, so I want to get all that pitting off that's on the surface. Right, so I've got it to a point now where I'm going to put some polish on it. I think that looks a whole lot better. A lot of work for one little bolt head, but that's the name of the game when you're doing restoration. Take your time, do it properly. So I've taken the spring out of the vapor rust now. It's been 24 hours in it. And I've just given it a quick cleanup with a Scotch-Brite pad. It comes out black from the vapor rust. Give it a wipe down and you'll see it silvers up a little bit. And now very carefully I'm going to run this on the buffing wheel with a bit of polish as well. But you really got to be super careful because these sharp edges will catch on that wheel. So I'll normally hold my fingers over it and just run it on the wheel like that. So I'll just put this on the buffing wheel, cleaning the residue off. And that's what the spring looks like. So it's hard to believe that 24 hours ago, this spring was black with rust. Vapor rust might be expensive, but it's certainly worth every cent spent on it. Okay, so we're back again. I didn't take you through that process because I'm sure you're tired of it by now. But that was just cleaning them off and then polishing them up, and we have 2 silver springs again, looking a whole lot better. So I'm going to do the exact same thing with the screws, the adjustment screws that were badly rusted. I'll fish them out the solution and see if we can get them cleaned up equally as well. They were in quite bad condition now. Righto, so there we're done with the de-rusting and polishing up of all the parts on the front derailleur. I've tried to lay them out on a clean garage cloth here so you can get an idea of the improvement of them. So I've literally gone through every single piece and polished it. And as you can see, they're looking considerably better. Yeah, you can even see my iPhone's reflection in the chrome of that front derailleur cage. So now we're going to try and put it back together again. So that's the front derailleur assembled. Obviously the assembly was just the reverse of the taking it apart. Nothing majorly complicated. The spring was just a little bit challenging, but not too bad. I'm rather pleased with how that turned out. Looking a whole lot sharper than what it was. Campy really did make a quality looking part. It polishes up so lovely. Sorry, let me not call it Campy because the purists get quite upset. Campagnolo. My apologies. You can see that spring cleaned up really nicely as well. As to those adjustment screws, actually there's nothing on this derailleur that I'm disappointed with. Everything turned out really nicely. I'm quite happy with it. I think it'll do the rest of the bike proud. So the only thing to add is afterwards I went over all the nuts and bolts with a product called ACF 50. For those who don't know what it is, this is what it looks like. Unbelievably good product. You certainly get what you pay for over here. I use it on all my restoration jobs. You can Google it, you can check out some YouTube videos on it. Just how good that product is at protecting metal against corrosion. And I always spray my bikes if I've been out in bad weather with the bikes. I will, after I've washed them, I will coat them in a layer of ACF 50 as well. You just spray it on and wipe it off and your protection is there. So for those who commented on the last video in the comment section suggesting that this was Gran Sport as well, thank you for that. I see Nouveau Record got 1 or 2 votes as well. but Gran Sport seems to take the win. So on to the rear derailleur, and let's hope we can get as good a result out of it.